Greetings, metalheads, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and I'm back with a gig review. A gig that was actually on June the 30th, so I'm a little bit late in reviewing this one. Various factors and reasons for that, but I thought actually it was such a freaking great show, such a performance, such a spectacle that it was absolutely 100% deserving of a thorough review. So here we are talking about the show, June 30th, Manchester Academy here in the UK, a venue I've never been to before. And in fact, that was my first time visiting Manchester, and in general, it was a great experience. But I was there for King Diamond, the absolute freaking legend that is the mighty King Diamond. What a legend. He is such an icon. His very iconic corpse paint, his even more iconic shrieking vocals, his incredible vocal range, and his just general presence. He is a metal god, an absolute legend. The King, in fact. And I have never seen The King before. Of course, King Diamond has a very successful career as King Diamond with the band King Diamond. Awesome logo as well. And you may also be aware of a little band that he's the front man of. They've kind of had a few breaks and hiatuses over the years, but Merciful Fate may have heard of that. Hugely influential, pioneering, important heavy metal band. Absolute legends as well. Denmark's finest. But the King was present as King Diamond with his band, completed by a host of great musicians. The legendary Andy LaRocque on guitars, who's also the kind of other key founding member, and an absolute virtuoso. That guy can shred his way across the stage with his eyes closed. Absolute freaking legend, that guy. The band is also complete by Matt Thompson on drums. We've got the fellow Merciful Fate guitarist Mike Weed on guitars. Funnily enough, great player. And Pontus, I think his name's Pontus Egbert on bass. So it's a 5-piece band, but they were also joined by, I believe the name is Hellpire, stage name, on keyboards and backing vocals, giving those kind of female vocal parts. And what a spectacle. What an absolute spectacle it was. As I say, I'd never been to see King Diamond before. I'd never been to the Manchester Academy, but I was not prepared for how small scale a venue that is. Really, I was expecting, judging by the high festival spots that you see King Diamond on, headlining festivals across Europe mainly. I know it does seem to be that King Diamond doesn't quite have the same level of popularity over here in the UK and the States, but I was really surprised. It's like a university academy venue, and it can only be, 2,000, 3,000 max capacity, and it didn't even seem that full. It was hotter than the sun in there. It was a day where, one of those rare days every couple of millennia where we actually get some proper summer conditions here in the UK. And the other date happened to be when I saw Iron Maiden in Birmingham on 21st of June, where the whole venue basically just becomes a sweaty sauna. I was an absolute sweating mess after the King Diamond show, as I was after Maiden, but the venue was tiny. In fact, the stage was almost too small for King Diamond's setup. If you know King Diamond, you know it's very theatric. It's very grand, and I don't quite know the full story to it, but there is a lot of thematics of St. Lucifer's Hospital with King Diamond's current stage aesthetics and setup. St. Lucifer's Hospital, so there was steps, there was railings, there was coffins, there was all sorts of stuff, but the stage almost looked a bit too small for the King's stage set. But that didn't stop the band putting on a phenomenal performance. It was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the supporting bands, which was absolutely gutting. As I say, it was my first trip up to Manchester, which, to put it in a bit of context, it's actually about 4 hours drive on a good day from where I live in Suffolk, East Anglia. It's about 4 hours away, which that's not enormous. However, when there's accidents, when there's roadworks, as there was on that day, it took closer to 8. So actually, it was a bit of a hellish trip up there. I was very, very unimpressed by that, I must admit. Consequently, did miss Unto Others, who are a great band. I was really looking forward to seeing them again. It's been a couple of years since I've seen them. And more importantly, Paradise Lost. Gothic, doom, death doom legends. I was really gutted about that, but it was a choice between being able to eat and get some much needed beer or rush around and run across Manchester and get to the venue. So the decision was made. Some decent pints were had at the Tap House in Manchester, and got there just a few minutes before King Diamond took the stage. And what a freaking great show it was. It was absolutely stunning. I've loved King Diamond and Merciful Fate for many years. I've been a big fan for a lot of years. And this has really rekindled my absolute love for King Diamond. Not that I wasn't absolutely ecstatic about the show, but afterwards, I've been listening to King Diamond daily. I freaking love certainly the earlier albums, I must admit, but right the way through King Diamond's career, all of his albums have been really, really solid. But that set, amazing aesthetics there. You know, there wasn't any of the mega high-tech pro screens like what Iron Maiden had at their big arena shows, or what Ghost has had when I saw them in April. None of that. It was all about the props. It was all about the theatrics. And the King absolutely delivered. I thought, honestly, the band was on fine form. The King sounded great. It was ear-shattering. It was drum-splitting, hearing his soaring shrieks. It was absolutely incredible. And I did honestly have that kind of moment where you're looking at King Diamond on stage, because we were quite close to the front, and I was almost a little bit taken by surprise. It was like, I can't believe that's really King Diamond. Freaking King Diamond, the absolute legend. And he delivered. He absolutely delivered. The whole band did. Andy, what a guitarist. He is one of the best. Freaking legend there. Mike was shredding away. Matt was attacking that bass with vigor. And also I thought that Hellpire was great as well. Backing vocals, the keys. Matt absolutely killing the kit. There was also the presence of, I guess, almost like a backing dancer. Not quite sure on the background there, but performing the roles with the King, being grandma, being the characters in those concepts there, and it was great. So the whole set was about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes in total. So a perfectly manageable set length, mainly focusing on the early material, the first 5 albums. Of course, this Abigail, the second album from the mighty King Diamond, released in 1987. This is a bit of a benchmark album, and it's many fans' absolute favourite. King opened up the set with the kind of intro Funeral before launching into the succession of Arrival and A Mansion in Darkness. And the whole house was alive. It was absolutely incredible. It was proper. Everyone's singing along. Everyone's having a great time. I was headbanging along, shrieked my throat raw. It was so good. Absolutely loved it. And those are 2 great songs. You know what? This is a desert island album. This is one of the essential heavy metal albums that I will take with me to the grave. But it got a good airing. In fact, as I say, that intro and first 2 tracks in proper launched the proceedings off. And then, delightfully, we got some tracks from Fatal Portrait, the debut. Now, this album from '86, I love. I adore this album. It's one of my favourite. we got Halloween, which is, of course, is a bit of a classic track for the King. So Halloween, and it was great. Everyone was chanting along. The musicianship was there. The chorus, everyone's chanting along to it. It's freaking great. I can't quite remember because it was a week or so ago the exact running order as such. But of course, we had some great tracks from them as well. This is another essential album there. Absolutely love this one. You can't really not play The Invisible Guests, of course, which is just an absolute classic track. Absolutely love it. And this whole album is great. The whole concept is just mental. Absolutely crazy stuff. We also did have representation from Conspiracy, the 4th album as well. So we had Sleepless Nights, which is a great number, a bit of a longer piece. Amazing. We did have a few other bits and pieces in between. Amazingly, I don't know why I didn't get my prop out, but we had the title track Voodoo from the album Voodoo, which is a great track. It's a great album. I feel that's a bit of an underrated one in the King's catalogue. It did so well. That kind of weird tribal voodoo vibe going on there translated so well. Everyone was going crazy, absolutely loving it, and rightfully so. It was great. It was a bit of a surprise. I wasn't really expecting that. In fact, there wasn't any representation of albums like House of God or The Graveyard, or even Give Me Your Soul, Please. We did get a new song. We got Spider Lily, which seems to be on King Diamond's current stage set list, which is doing very well. It's a great track. I was really impressed by that. I'd only heard it a couple of times on YouTube prior, so I was really enjoying that. The live presence of that track, that was great. It had a real old school King Diamond vibe to it, I would say. Maybe it's just because it was in the live setting. Who knows? But that was great. That was a real treat. I really enjoyed that. I was kind of expecting a little bit more of representation of this whole St. Lucifer's Hospital, but even so, don't care. It was great. Absolutely fantastic to hear Spider Lily. And, the King sounded amazing. He's got these little short shrieks in the intro bit there. It was great. We also got the title track. I don't have a copy of it myself, but Masquerade of Madness, which is great. I've heard it, of course. Really good number. Really enjoyed that as well. But for me, some of the real highlights was actually a couple of tracks from The Eye, being, of course, and it really is an absolute benchmark track, Eye of the Witch. Now that has one of the best, catchiest freaking riffs just ever. I love it. And it sounded monumentally freaking heavy. Maybe it's just because it's live, you've got that raw intensity. This is a well-produced album. It's a great sounding album. But holy crap, it was just chug. I was headbanging. You got those eerie synths over the top there. It was just delightful. It was absolutely marvellous. Eye of the Witch was probably my highlight moment. We then also got Burn as well, third track there, which is just glorious as well. Freaking heavy, absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. This is a great album. A bit of a masterpiece in my opinion. Bit of a favourite from 1990. So you got Eye of the Witch and Burn, which I was so happy to hear. It was absolutely incredible. Then they kind of did delve back and forth a little bit. We also got from Fatal Portrait, we got The Candle, which is another favourite track. I absolutely love that one. It's a marvellous number. And when the main set list, I should say, closed, they did come back for an encore. And of course, they weren't going to get away with not playing Abigail, the title track. And it was glorious. It was absolutely marvellous. Everyone was just losing their minds. It was so cool. And like I say, there was a few more tracks from them as well. I can't quite recall off the top of my head which one specifically. It's such a great concept album. You never just listen to one or two tracks. It flows. And I've kind of forgotten with the intense headbanging and the passage of time, all the tracks that they played. Pretty sure Welcome Home and The Invisible Guests. But what a glorious set it was, just full of classics, full of great songs, and a really awesome new track and a newer one, Masquerade of Madness, as well. It was just stunning. Honestly, my mind was freaking blown. It was a solid sort of 9 out of 10 performance for me. I just thought the whole band delivered. It had the raw energy. Everyone was having a great time. The visuals were amazing. You know, the king putting different masks on and changing up his aesthetics a little bit here and there. We've got the rickety old lantern. We've got all the props, the dolls, which was very creepy, as was Grandma in the wheelchair. That was really, really freaking creepy stuff. But you know what? The whole thing was just really enjoyable. Expert theatrics. But the brilliant thing about King Diamond is it's not just about the visuals, it's not just about the aesthetics there. They've got the top quality premium heavy metal to back it all up. And that's really what it's all about. So I would say King Diamond is a band you need to hear. It's a performance you need to witness. If you're a fan, you know, you might have to drive a little bit or fly. It's worth it. I can absolutely assure you. It was glorious. And actually, I did pick up a tour shirt for this one. I was hesitant, as I did actually pick up a shirt from Maiden a few weeks back, and tour merch is pretty, or just merch, just life in general is so freaking expensive these days. I was a little bit hesitant, but I love King Diamond. I love the logo. So this is creepy as. Definitely one to hide from the children. We've got St. Lucifer's Hospital 1920. So I'm intrigued. I want to know more about this whole concept, this whole story, because I love the visuals. It's creepy as. Not a massive horror fan, but yeah, I'm intrigued. And on the back, we've got nice big logo, tour dates there. So the tour's running on right into August with festival appearances. We've obviously got Varkan coming up, Beyond the Gates. We've got some great stuff. I know that the King has been unwell recently, so I don't quite know if all or which dates are affected. I'm not quite sure. But again, we've got European Tour 2025, St. Lucifer's Hospital. So yeah, cool article. I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, very nice. So my friends, King Diamond, was it worth it? Yes, it freaking was. Amazing venue for such a great presence and stage set, as I say. Absolutely fantastic. The band delivered. The set was great, full of classics and some newer stuff too, thrown in for good measure. The whole thing was amazing. I absolutely loved every minute of it. I would say venue's a great one, definitely. Will I trip up to Manchester again? Probably. It depends if the gig is good enough, but definitely check out the Tap House. That was freaking great. Pour your own pints of craft beer. That's why I had to have so many. But there you have it. Were you there? Let me know. Are you going to catch King Diamond this year, this summer? Were you at any of the other dates so far? What are your thoughts and opinions? Are you a King Diamond fan? Are you not? Get involved. Let me know your thoughts on this one. But thank you very much for watching this humble review. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please do feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Support is greatly appreciated as always. Check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. Until next time, take care of yourselves, listen to King Diamond, and stay freaking heavy.